Hi, my name is Joe Palmasino. I am the oldest of four brothers, and my parents have just recently passed away. Um, my dad passed away on February 25th, and then my mom on March the 10th. So everything was pretty close together with that.
It was almost like Uncle Greg said, kind of like a blessing almost that Grandma
Yeah.
didn't have to be apart too long or whatever.
Um,
Because they were married, what, 69 years or something?
69 years they were married. The last 2 or 3 years, my dad had dementia, and it was progressing, getting a little worse, where he remembered all of us,
Mm-hmm.
but he forget would forget a lot of things, and he wasn't able to get around as well as he used to. And my mom also got sick, had some stomach issues, and that also progressively got worse. Um,
She was like 85 pounds or something, wasn't she? Like she
right,
was. What
right,
I know Grandma and Pap for was the farmhouse, but you guys didn't move into that house until you were in high school, right?
right. The the farm was originally where my dad did a lot of his growing up. Um, it was his parents' place,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and my grandmother, his mom, lived there until she passed away. And she passed away when I was,
Philomena?
hmm,
Was that her name, Philomena?
yes, Philomena. And she passed away when I was a junior, I think, in high school, or maybe a sophomore. And so my dad had already started doing some farming with garden, mostly with gardening, vegetables and corn and stuff like that. So he decided that we were going to move to the farm, to my grandparents' place at that time. So that's what happened. We moved into the
Your
farmhouse.
So your grandma passed before your grandpa, or was your grandpa
No,
already?
my grandfather died when we were young.
Mm.
Um,
What was his name? I can't remember.
Andrew
Mm.
or Andrea.
Mm.
He started teaching when he was, um, well, he had gone to the service, and that's how he paid for his college.
He
Was
graduated in 55, I think it was.
right, and
Yeah.
then he was in the service, and
And
then
during
he
the
went to
Korean War.
college, and probably he's I don't know how old he was when he started teaching. I would think he would have to have been in his mid to late 20s when he started,
And he
but
stayed at that same school or the whole time?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He was hired in Kiski area, and he was at the one middle school, Allegheny Township Middle School. He taught social studies. I think he probably taught different grades, like seven through eight, or I don't know how it was, if it was seventh through ninth, or
Mm.
how that school was. But he would always have homework. He would always have papers that he brought home to correct and all that kind of stuff. And he did was able to retire kind of a little young. He was probably in his 50s um, when he retired, and that's when he started farming
Like full time.
full time.
Mm.
It was kind of a hobby that developed into a little bit more than that after he retired.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
I remember that.
My dad's twin Tony was more than just an uncle. He was more like a
Another
second
dad.
dad
Yeah.
because his wife Fran was also my mom's sister. So the twins married sisters. And so his kids and my parents and us, 4 boys, we were almost like brothers and sisters than just cousins. And we spent a lot of time together. And I think you kids, when you came along, if you saw anybody besides Grandma and Pap, it was Uncle Tony and Aunt Fran.
Yeah, I remember always having those bonfires during the summer at Uncle Tony's. Yeah.
And they were always together. Whenever he passed away, that was really hard for Pap.
Yeah. That was like, what, 15 years ago now or something?
Something like that, close to her. We would go every Sunday to Grandma and Pap's.
Yeah.
And
that farmhouse.
Grandma would have dinner fixed. A lot of times we'd have pasta. Sometimes she'd fix other things too, but people, I think sometimes people thought, oh, that's a lot of work for her and stuff, and didn't know if we should keep doing that all the time, but they really looked forward to that.
Yeah.
My name is Trish Palmasino. I remember meeting Joe and Ethel probably in the mid-80s. I had to drop something off at the house. Dad was working in West Virginia at the time, and I was down there visiting him. I was still at IUP, and I went to the farm to drop something off. I don't know.
So Dad graduated before you? Or?
Yes. I took a break, a gap year, and he went straight through. He graduated in 81. I graduated in 86 from IUP. And I just remember going in, and they were just so warm and kind and just sweet people. You could tell right from the beginning. And we were standing there in the entranceway at the farmhouse, and they were like, well, do you want to come in? Do you want a cup of tea? And just so welcoming.
Typical.
Well,
no, just for,
right.
like for them, yeah.
I mean, exactly. It's the first day I met them, they were as kind and loving as to the end, almost to the end. I felt at home. I do, and that feeling of being welcomed never changed, not at all. But the day that we couldn't find your dad, and we realized that he was, the ambulance had taken him away.
No.
I called Grandma and I told her, because I thought maybe he went down there.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that day. Just searching every little crevice of the house for him. But I called her and I said, okay, he's been found and he's in a hospital. And she said, I'll be up. I'm like, no, you're sick. Because at that time, she was pretty advanced with the brain cancer. And she came up anyhow. And I remember when I saw her in the driveway, I was kind of irritated. Like, I was a mess. And I thought, I don't need you. Like,
yeah.
I can't hold myself together, let alone like hold it together for you. And I just remember seeing her on the driveway in her nightgown, muumuu kind of thing. And she had a turban on because she had no hair left. And she kept beeping the horn. So I went outside to the driveway and she said, look at the front of my car. Like, I don't care about the front of your car. And I said, I looked, I'm like, it's fine. And she said, why? She goes, thank God I heard a thump. I wanted to make sure I didn't hit anything. She said, I barely can see. God, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, and she said, well, you needed me.
Yeah.
You're my child. And it just like all came into focus. This is who she is. And she didn't care that she only had a little bit of a brain left. When her child needed her, she was going to be there. And she died a month later. again, one of my favorite stories, my dad was a fire captain in the city of Pittsburgh, and she was pregnant with, I think, my brother Johnny. And my dad, he would work like 36-hour shifts. It was a long time at that time. And he was leaving, and she said, "It's dark in this house." And he's like, "Yeah, don't paint the house." And she was like, "No, but it's dark. Don't you think it's dark in here?" And he's like, "Do not paint the house." And she's like, "I won't paint the house." He's like, "I know you." And she's like, "Get out of here." So he went to work, and after his shift at the firehouse was done, he came home. He walked in, he went, "Damn it, it's brighter in here." He said, "But I don't smell paint." That window wasn't there. She put a hole in the wall. Took my sister on the streetcar down to the hardware store, bought a window, and went in and installed the window by herself. She said, "Come on, this is like not the average thing." And she figured out how to. What do you think?
I don't
Put
think
a window in
I
plaster?
definitely would. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
And they didn't definitely have YouTube back then, so
No.
she just figured it out.
Wow.
And she was like, "Beep, it was too dark in here. I didn't like it." And then I remember when I married into the family, my mom said, "Now you remember, you call her mom because she's your mom now, and you hug them because they're family." And I just remember like every time going in and hugging and kissing, and when you guys were little, saying when we'd leave, "Go pass out your kisses," and they were like, "Why are you doing this?" And when holding hands, when we said the prayers before meal, they were like, "Okay," and now we all do it
Yeah.
because that tradition. And they're still my family. Still.